Today, we're dabbling more on the savory side. What is up, you guys? How are you? My name is Kira if you are new, and in today's video we are going to cook up 4 delicious recipes out of my friend's cookbook. So I have a cookbook here, the Essential Pantry Cookbook. It was written by my friend here on YouTube, Jen Chapin. She released it about a month or so ago, and as soon as I got my hands on it, I knew I wanted to prepare some of her recipes. So I've already shared a video of me doing breakfasty items. I cooked her muffins, her pancakes, I made little mini danishes, and then what was the biggest crowd pleaser for all of us was a hash brown casserole where I put eggs and ham and cheese. It was so good. Like, whatever we didn't eat that night, I cut up into squares and froze, and we fought over the leftovers. So we really enjoyed that, but now I'm bringing to you guys a little bit more of these savory items. So she had a Korean taco, like a Korean style taco, that I turned more into a rice bowl, which was a huge hit for my family. Then I made a salad that was more for me. I'm like a huge salad person, but it's a green leaf and apple salad. So we prepared these candied pecans. She calls for walnuts, but I switched it up just a little bit. But we candied pecans, and then we also made her really simple vinaigrette. And then at the bottom of every page, she'll give you a little hint or tip. Sometimes it's how to adjust the recipe, or maybe it's a way to store it, or a suggestion on how you can change it. So she made a suggestion on how to add steak and blue cheese, but I did steak and the unexpected cheddar from Trader Joe's. So it was absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to share with you how to make that. And then we enjoyed, like I said, that hash brown casserole so much that I made a cheesy hash brown casserole that's more like a side dish, where I served it alongside of a Salisbury steak. So that was delicious, but the house pleaser for the savory items was her goulash, which was really just a homemade hamburger helper that just really hit home. It was very hearty and delicious, and we really enjoyed that. So I am pretty excited to share all these recipes with you guys. So let me take you down to my counter and I will share with you 4 super easy but delicious recipes out of Jen's new cookbook. So we're starting off with our first recipe, and it's the Korean style beef tacos, which I told you guys that I ended up turning into rice bowls, which was perfect for meal prep for my family. And you can tell that it's super easy. It's very minimal ingredients, and she does down below give the instructions on how to break it down into doing it with tacos, as well as how to make a crema. But again, I didn't need to do that because I just layered this on top of some rice. So I have garlic, lime, onions, sesame oil, soy sauce, brown sugar, some hot sauce, and then I also have some ground beef. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to mix all of those flavors together, and it was fantastic. So I cut up the whole onion and all the garlic that you saw there, diced it up and got it in some olive oil over medium heat and just let it cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. You can see that it needed to sweat down a little bit before we went ahead and added our ground beef. I have my little meat breaker upper thing. I love this thing. I have it linked in my Amazon store down below if you want to go ahead and check that out. But now it's time to make our sauce. And so inside you need 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, and then you're going to add a couple of teaspoons of sesame oil. And boy, what a difference that makes. And then a teaspoon of hot sauce, and then you're going to go ahead and mix it together. And then we're going to add some lime juice. I have my little lime and lemon squeezer linked in my Amazon store below as well. It does both lime and lemons, and this thing is amazing. There's usually not a stitch of juice left in the fruit when you're done squeezing it. So even when I think I'm done, I still usually have some more. So once you get all of that lime juice in there, you're going to go ahead and give it a stir, and then by then our meat should be done. So once that's all finished, she does tell you to keep the fat if you wanted to, but this was 80-20. And she called for 90% lean. So this was a little bit more fat than I'm sure was needed for the recipe. And I learned this little trick from my friend Vanessa over at Vanessa White Randomness. She shared that when she wants to get rid of just a little bit of grease in the pan without draining the whole thing, she just takes a piece of paper towel and sticks it in the pan and just kind of like zhuzhes it around. And you could see that with 2 pieces of paper towel, I removed a good percentage of the fat, but I like a little bit because I feel like it adds great flavor. And then once the oil and the grease was all removed from the pan, we just added our mixture and gave it a good stir. I let it simmer for like 5-10 minutes just to kind of let all of those flavors come together, and then that's it. I made some rice in my pressure cooker. I absolutely love doing rice in the Instant Pot. I used a little bit of the sesame oil and some lime juice. I added a few tablespoons of butter, and then the real key is lime zest. Between all those flavors, it brings out such a good vibrancy and a good flavor to that rice. So I just put that on the bottom, and then I layered that Korean beef mixture on top. And then I did kind of ended up making a sour cream, like a lime crema anyways. I added a little bit of water to some sour cream so it would get a little pourable, and then added lime juice and lime zest. And that was the perfect texture just to kind of be able to drizzle that over. And then green onion. I love a ton of green onion. And that was it, you guys. I was able to fill quite a few meal prep containers, and this was something that my family was able to pull for lunch all week. But all right, now we're getting to the fun part of the video. So thank you so much to Sea Wet for sponsoring today's video. I'm definitely a cookware nerd, so I was really excited when they reached out and said that they wanted to send this to me. There's a couple of the frying pans that have this Quantanium lining, like a non-stick lining, which is all non-toxic and safe to cook in. So you know how I feel about that. But one of my favorite things was the handles. You guys, their handles are so diesel and they don't get hot, which is fantastic. They are completely made out of the 1810 stainless steel, which is the best kind of stainless steel there is. And then on the bottom, they have a tri-ply base, which is 3 different layers, but it helps cook the food evenly, and it gets super hot super quick, but it still stays evenly distributed, which I absolutely love that. And then it has that pretty mirrored look, so it's easy to clean and it stays looking nice all of the time. The lids are tempered glass, which is awesome, and I love when the lids have that little vent hole, but that's my favorite feature of all. I love that it has etched measuring right inside. So in this super deep frying pan, it's a 2.5 liter. And then this is also a 2.5 liter, but it's in a saucepan. So it's just shaped a little bit differently. But then this Mamma Jamma, this is the one that I am most excited about because it is a 8-liter pot, and I don't have one like this. So I cannot wait to make so many different things in there. I love how they have their name just like slightly etched on all of the pots, and I have just been enjoying them, you guys. Like I said, I'm a cookware nerd, so I have a variety of different sets, but I think that I just love how heavy duty that these are. They're not too heavy that I want to take them in and out of the cabinet, but they feel good and sturdy. Like I feel like it's a good investment in this kind of cookware. I love them, and we're actually going to cook with the small one in the recipe that we're about to cook right now. We're going to cook up a small steak so you guys get a chance to see how the non-stick ones work. But we're going to go ahead and prep the green salad with apples and candied walnuts. I mentioned to you guys in the beginning, I switched it up a little bit. I had tons of pecans on hand from the Christmas season. I mean, look how big that container was. So I just decided to do pecans instead, but I like candied pecans too. I even have a candied pecan recipe in my cookbook, and I was curious on how to make hers because I wanted to try our little subtle differences. So it worked out really good and I really enjoyed them. So I was even gonna cut the recipe in half, and once I started preparing it, I was like, nah, forget it. I'm gonna do the whole thing. So it's 2 cups of pecans and then 2 tablespoons of white sugar. I bet you brown sugar would work just as well. And then 2 tablespoons of honey. Now we're going to put in a tablespoon of olive oil, but I should have been smart. Do the olive oil first so that it it lubricates your tablespoon, and then when you do the honey, it will slip out a little bit easier. Then you're going to add some salt and pepper, a little bit of cinnamon, and then a dash of cayenne. And then you're going to mix that up. Make sure you mix really well. The sugar sticks to the honey. So it took me a few minutes to kind of work everything together. So I made sure all the pecans were covered. But then I threw down some parchment paper on a cookie sheet, and at 350 degrees, I put these in the oven for 15 minutes. She said 12 to 15. I did the full 15 minutes and it worked out great. And now we're going to go ahead and make her vinaigrette. Now, the great thing about her vinaigrette recipe is that she gave you a bunch of different choices. You can choose your vinegar, you can choose your oil, you can choose your sweetness. So I went ahead and did apple cider vinegar with olive oil and honey. I added 4 tablespoons of garlic, and then she called for Italian seasoning, which I didn't have, so I just kind of made my own little Italian seasoning. And then she called for dried dill, but I wanted to put fresh dill that I had on hand in there, which was great because I was going to go ahead and use this as a marinade after I was done. So once we mixed up her little vinaigrette, I put it in a jar, gave it a good shake, and then left it off to the side. And then by that time, our pecans were ready. And the key at the bottom, she says to let them cool, and you can see why. You're using elements that are super sticky, so you want that crispy crunch from leaving it. So I let my vinaigrette stew and marinate, and I let my pecans cool, and now it was time to cook our steaks. So I threw a little bit of olive oil in the smaller one of these frying pans, and these are a few little steaks that I had from an every plate meal that I never made, and I seasoned them with a little bit of 21 seasoning, so they are super thick. So I did give them a good braise on all sides and realized they still weren't cooked through, so I threw a little bit of water in the bottom of the frying pan and threw a lid on top, and while that cooked, I prepped. So I have our pecans, craisins, lettuce, apples, and then regular shredded cheddar, and then some of the unexpected cheddar from Trader Joe's. And then now we're just going to go ahead and make a salad. So I thought I would layer it separately. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to how you would make a salad, but I did the lettuce first, and then the regular cheddar cheese and the apple, and then I did the craisins, then I did the white cheese, and then I did the pecans, and then our steak was done. So I took our steaks out and I thinly sliced them the best that I could. Like I said, it's a pretty thick steak, but I gave a nice thinly slice to them, and then I just layered the steak on top of the salad. You need to comment down below and tell me how you like your steak cooked. When I was younger, it was like rare. And now as I've gotten older, I'm okay with like mid-rare to medium, but I definitely like a little pink or red on the inside. And then that was it. I put my steak over the top and add that vinaigrette, and voila, that pretty much filled me. I never ended up eating dinner, but I did end up taking that rest of that vinaigrette and marinating my steaks in them, which was great. I did want to include this little clip just to share with you guys how super easy it is to clean the pan. You guys saw it was tons of like grease and meat fat in there. I threw a little bit of soap inside and gave it a good rinse, and everything rinsed off great. And then I just used the soap just to make sure there was nothing greasy on the outside, but these clean so nice and they dry perfect. Like, I absolutely love these pans. All right, now we're on to the cheesy potato bake, which to me ended up coming out like the hash brown casserole from Cracker Barrel, which I don't know about you guys, but that's one of my favorite things to get when I go there. And the hash brown egg breakfasty thing that we made, her breakfast casserole, that was the biggest hit out of last time. So I knew bringing in something hash browns was going to be perfect. So I just share with you guys all the ingredients that you're going to need, so you can pause, take a screenshot. But this mixture you're going to make is fantastic. So it's cream of chicken soup with milk, which I next time I'm going to use heavy cream just to make it a little bit creamier, and then sour cream. And look at that like creamy mixture that it made. And then you just give a good dose of cracked black pepper, a little bit of salt, but condensed soups are salty anyway. And then you're just going to give that a mix, and then that's it. Like, that's your base that kind of holds everything together. And now you're going to add your shredded hash browns. I added in some diced onion, and then we're going to add add in a ton of cheddar cheese. And then we're just gonna mix this all together. And just as I'm mixing it, you can tell how fabulous that looks. Like as I was mixing it all together, I just could not wait for this to bake up, because I knew that looking at it, it was going to end up coming out like Cracker Barrel, and I was super stoked. So once I was done mixing, I got a 9x13 glass pan, sprayed it with a little bit of cooking spray, and then I dumped in that mixture. And you're just going to make sure that it's evenly dispersed along the bottom of your pan. Once you have a nice even layer, we're going to go ahead and add some more shredded cheese to the top of that, and then we're going to stick it in the oven. Now, no need to top it with foil wrap or anything, because we want that nice brown crisp that you generally would get with a hash brown kind of bake. And then look at this. Look at this, you guys. I literally couldn't wait to cut into it. I didn't even wait to sit down. Like, as soon as it came out, still burning hot, like I burnt my tongue, I'm not gonna lie, just trying to taste it because it tasted so good. And I made Salisbury steak that night. I'll attach my what's for dinner up top so you guys can see like a little bit more of the plate. I'm trying to focus right now to share with you what that casserole looked like, but with some corn and that Salisbury steak, it was like I said, a home cooked Cracker Barrel meal right at the house. All right, now we're down to our last one, and this is the one I told you was the hugest hit, and it's her home-style macaroni goulash. I never really knew what goulash was. I'm gathering it's pretty much just meat and pasta, which growing up to me was hamburger helper, but we served it out of a box, and now I've learned to make it myself, but I wanted to see her version, and I'm so glad that I did. So we have a few ingredients here that were a little tricky to me, and I didn't know how they were going to play out, but they really added nice flavor. So we have sugar, salt and pepper, we have diced tomatoes, we have all of our seasonings in a bowl, onion, garlic, pasta, soy sauce, olive oil, ground beef, and then crushed tomatoes. And all of those things together, you guys, are going to make a meal in one pot, which how do you beat that? So you are going to dice up your onion, your garlic, and put it in some olive oil over the heat, and you're going to let it stew down just like we've done every other time before. And once it's cooked and you can smell that yummy garlic in the air, then you go ahead and add your ground beef, and you're just going to keep cooking that down until all of the pink is gone. And then we're going to add in all of her seasonings, her sugar, which the sugar I was like, sugar to the pasta, and then the soy sauce to the pasta. All of that was like definitely mind-blowing to me, but it doesn't taste like soy sauce when you're done. It just adds a good salty flavor, and you don't taste sugar. It just, that ends up helping cut the acidity of the tomatoes that you put in, because then we're going to add in the petite diced tomatoes, we're going to add in the crushed tomatoes, and then we're going to add in some water. Now again, I was using 80-20. She uses 90% lean, so she said you could drain the fat if you wanted to. I probably should have, because it was more fat than needed, but you're going to add pasta, which I knew was going to end up absorbing all of that, which to me is a good thing because fat means flavor. So once you add your pasta and you let it come to a boil, you're going to let it sit for 15 to 20 minutes till your pasta is cooked through. But then look, it sucked up everything, and now you have this one pot meaty, hearty pasta that was so incredibly flavorful. All you needed was a little dash of Parmesan cheese on top. So you can see I added a little bit of Parm cheese. I made one of those bag salads. I think I can tell by the Melba toast that's in everything but the bagel seasoning kind of salad with a little bit of cherry tomatoes. That's that bread, this sourdough bread that I get from Costco that I warm up with some butter. This was just a complete home style, yummy, comfort food Sunday kind of meal. And I appreciate you, Jen, for all the recipes that you shared. All right, you guys, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up. Thank you again to Sea Wet for sponsoring today's video, and if you are interested in those beautiful pots and pans, then I will make sure to have them linked in the description box below. I know you guys are going to love them. I actually wish that they came before I prepped all those other recipes. I would have loved to make all of the recipes in those pots and chicken pans because I've been truly loving them, especially that goulash, because you guys saw I was coming pretty close to the top of that pot, but that's the biggest one that I have. So I'm dying to break out that 8-liter stock pot. Like, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be homemade sauce on the menu coming up real soon. So stay tuned for that. In the description box also, I will have Jen's cookbook linked and my 2 cookbooks linked in case you are on the hunt for some new recipes. But that is it, you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.